Yeah, what I saw was anybody can beat anybody in this league. There isn't, I don't think, a great team, like an Alabama type caliber team or a Ohio State caliber team. There's some really good, solid teams, and that was the thing that stuck out to me, was that anybody in this league can beat anybody in this league. You saw what USC did to Colorado, which was easy for all of us to compare because that was the last team that we just played, was Colorado, and what they did to them. And then you look and then you see that USC just barely beat Arizona the last week, I think it was. And so that's, what I saw was that, there's a lot of hope that, if you get ready to play, and whoever plays the best that day and, comes ready to go and doesn't turn the ball over, then you're going to have a great chance to win every game that you play in the Pac-12.
When we look at Stanford, they came in this year losing a lot of players on defense. It looks like the first part of the schedule really didn't get affected by that, but the last few weeks they showed some kicks in the armor. What do you see from that?
Yeah, I saw, some people complete some passes against them in the secondary. They've given up some rushing yards that they're probably not accustomed to. The thing that kind of catches my eye about them is they're like second in the league, in rushing. What you're used to seeing Stanford is usually being the number 1 or number 2 team in the league rushing. But I think they're utilizing a really good job. I sound like Danny now because I'm talking about their offense. But, I think they're doing a great job of utilizing their talent and just trying to find out what they're doing. We're trying to do the same thing, just try to find out what we can do. This team does the best, not necessarily whatever I've done in the past or whatever. But I think they're doing a great job of utilizing talent on that side of the ball. Defensively, one thing that they do to make up for, I guess, the lack of experience is what I see on film is they're running to the ball really well and they're tackling really well. And they're eliminating, they're a 10-play, a 10-yard play is a 10-yard play with them. A 15 is a 15. You're not going from 15 to 30 because of a missed tackle and things like that. And with what you can see with other teams, you don't see that with them. That's what makes them really hard to beat. Yeah, they always seem to get a hit on the quarterback. That's one of their big deals, is to affect the quarterback, even though they may not stop him from throwing the ball or get there in time for the sack. They're trying to affect the guy with hits, and they want that to accumulate over a game. And then you look around the league and you see different quarterbacks and how they respond to getting hit. Some respond completely different than others. And so that's one of the biggest challenges. They twist a lot. They get there. They touch your quarterback. They affect your quarterback. And so, you just got to try to minimize, obviously, the times you're in 3rd and long, so you don't put your quarterback and your offensive line in that situation. And, you try to really hope that you can do some good damage on 1st down so you're not in those 3rd and longs. I think that's the best way to try to eliminate that. I understand what you're saying. It's obviously, if you can run, it certainly makes everything easier. The thing about establishing the run is, you kind of got to wait and get in the game and see how the flow of the game is going. So if your defense is, keeping them off the scoreboard, it's easier to just continue with that game plan and go, okay, all right, let's go. They don't have, they're not scoring, so us trying to force the run a little bit more is easier. You don't have to pay for it as much, So I think it's important, but if they're scoring, or, you get in the Michigan State game like we were in, and after a while you go, you know what, every time I hand the ball off, I'm 1st and 10, it's 2nd and 9. I'm tired of doing this. Let's go to something else. So, like I said, it's a lot easier, though, when you can establish that run and you can mix it up, be about 50-50 on 1st down, play action pass, bootlegs, run the ball. That's a good flow. That's what you want going into the game. That's what you want to do.
What about the bye week and having this extra time to look at Stanford and then not being on the road versus
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's always good to just sit back and reflect. You know, what are you doing good? What are you doing bad? When you're in the middle of the season and you don't have time, and the cycle just goes one after another, one after another, one after another. Sometimes you guys will have a better perspective than we do as coaches. You'll look up and you guys will be like, "Hey, man, this guy hadn't touched the ball." I'll be like, "Wow, yeah, you're right." You know, so because sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees, and you can get in that. The walls start to close down a little bit, you know, when you get in that season. So it's great to sit back, you know, and I went back and I watched our third downs, and I watched the patterns of what's going on, and I got a chance to watch all the different formations and where we're lining up and are we giving things away and stuff like that. So, yeah, it come at a perfect time, too, especially with our health on our team.
What about the third quarter goals?
You know, it's kind of weird. I really don't have an answer for that, you know. Teams have done a really good job against us. We've had a lot of we hadn't executed well for some reason. I mean, I can't put a finger on it. Why? You know, I don't know. You know, so hopefully that'll change over these next 6 games. But it's definitely something we're aware of.
So did you do anything different? Do you think you'll do anything different as far as trying to do something different to come out better in the fourth quarter?
You know, I have had some ideas. I don't want to give away, but I do. Yes, I mean, I do have some ideas on. That's about all I can say. You almost tricked me into giving it away. Yeah, it's a good job.
Casey, obviously the connection with Stanford this week, but can you just talk about what he's brought to ASU?
Oh, yes. Well,
glad you already have him on your side.
Yeah, sure. And, you know, one thing about Stanford's program is there's a piece of Stanford's program that every team in the Pac-12 aspires to be like. Because you look at them, and if you look at their recruiting classes, according to, you know, whatever, all the experts, you wouldn't say that they're in the top 10 or 15 in the recruiting classes every year. You know, a lot of guys, people say, "I never heard of that guy." Next thing you know, they're winning the Pac-12, you know, every 3 out of 4 years or something like that. So they're doing something right, and they're doing a great job of coaches. So, you know, having a guy to kind of like, hey, you know, pick his brain a little bit on what they're doing right, you know, has been amazing, you know. Because he's such a smart kid, too. And so he gives us a great perspective. Also kind of tells us, you know, a few things that, you know, he likes, you know, more about this program than that program and things like that, which is always good. But, no, it's been, to answer your question, it's been great to just pick his brain and just kind of find out what the Stanford program, what they kind of do and some of the things that they do right and do really well. Right. Oh, absolutely. He's an extremely tough kid. He's not ever looking to cut corners. He's not looking for excuses, which is kind of prevalent in today's world. You know, people like to reach for excuses than you know, trying to be a solution. If you watch him out there, and I don't know if you guys got the luxury too, but when he was down a little bit, he would stand behind the offense. And while a play was going on, he would stand back there and he would go through the steps and hand placement on air of every play while somebody else was doing it. It just shows you his level, just how much that he cares and how committed he is. And you know, when he came in here, we promised him he could play left tackle, and he did. And then came in and said, "Hey, I will do." We didn't ask him. I'll do whatever you guys want to do. What makes us a better offensive line? Is it me at guard? Well, if that's the case, I'll move to guard. Let's go. Because that just tells you everything about him. He's unselfish, and he's definitely committed to our program and all of his teammates.
Pinpoint defensively what Stanford does well.
You know, they're usually never out of place. You know, even when you play with tempo, they're smart. They get lined up fast. They get lined up in the right places. They put pressure on you to throw the ball on the other side of them. You know, so they like to play football in what I call a 12-yard box, which is hard. You know, you always like to face the teams that, you know, they fear your passing game and back up. but they don't. So they just kind of like absorb you, and they make you operate within a 12-yard, 15-yard structure, and they don't back up. All right, so you got to execute it at a high level in that 15-yard box, and then you got to find a way to get the ball on the other side of them. And then when you do that, though, you like we just talked about, they do a great job of getting pressure on your quarterback. So, you got to take your shots, max it up, and try to do a good job with your shots.